Snow has softened the pine path, and lantern light rests on the wood of the bathhouse before it comes into view. What reaches you first is not the building itself, but the color of its windows between the trees, warm amber, low and steady, resting inside the blue of the winter night. Snow lies on the pine branches in quiet layers. It gathers along the path in smooth, pale edges, leaving the center clear, level, and easy to follow. A small covered lantern stands beside the path. Then another, spaced far enough apart for the walk to stay slow. Their light does not hurry you forward. It only shows the next few steps. The dark green of needles beneath snow, the soft curve where the path turns, the faint steam rising somewhere ahead. The air is cool, but not sharp. It feels clean around the face and calm around the shoulders. Every sound has been softened by snow. The trees, the ground, the distance. Evened the thoughts that may have followed you from the day. Ahead, the bathhouse waits among the pines. Small and cedar dark, it sits under a low roof, with windows gently clouded by the warmth inside. No sign asks for attention. No voice tells you how to arrive. The place seems prepared without needing to announce itself. You may walk as slowly as you like. The path is already lit. The snow is resting on both sides. The bathhouse is warm before you reach it. Behind you, the day grows quieter with every unhurried step. The bathhouse appears gradually, as if the trees are making room for it. First, the roofline appears, low and broad under a soft weight of snow. Then the eaves, dark with meltwater, frozen into clear beads along the edge. Then the warm cedar wall, board by board, each one holding the lamplight differently. Honey, brown, and almost black, where shadow rests. A narrow porch runs along the front. The porch has been swept clean. The porch has been swept clean. The boards are dry beneath the eaves, and a small bench stands near the door with a folded towel laid across it. Though not for display, only because someone thoughtful left it there. Beside the bench is a wooden box for boots, lined with a cloth that looks soft even in the low light. The windows are fogged from inside. Pine shadows move across the glass whenever a branch lifts slightly under its snow. Nothing moves quickly. The whole building seems to breathe at the pace of steam, rising and thinning into the cold blue air. Near the porch step, a stone basin holds a thin cap of snow around its rim. The water inside is not moving. A wooden ladle rests across the top, its handle worn smooth, its bowl turned down for the night. You do not need to know who prepared these things. No one needs to step out. The care is already here. The swept porch, the dry bench, the covered lantern, the warm window, the simple door that waits in its frame. The pines stand around the bathhouse like a quiet wall. Beyond them, night continues. Here, under the low roof, the air is warmer. You pause before entering, letting the snow, the cedar, and the amber windows become familiar. The door opens without weight. It moves inward on quiet hinges, and a slow band of warmth slips across the porch boards. The warmth is not bright or heavy. It is dry, cedar-scented, and calm, the kind that seems to have waited all evening without impatience. Inside the threshold, the floor changes from porch wood to smooth, warm planks. A woven mat rests just inside the door. Beside it are slippers arranged in pairs, simple and soft, toes facing the same direction, as if each pair already knows the small path ahead. There is a bench to the left. Above it, pegs are fixed into the wall, rounded and polished, holding nothing tonight except lamplight. Under the bench are 2 empty shelves. On the upper shelf waits a folded cloth. On the lower shelf sits a small cedar tray, its grain faintly striped like quiet water. You may leave the outside here, not in a dramatic way. No ceremony is needed. The bathhouse asks for no name, no reason, no explanation. It only offers a place to set down the cold air, the snow on the cuffs, the small tiredness that gathers after a long day. A lamp hangs in the corner behind cloudy glass. Its glow turns the cedar walls amber. The ceiling is low enough to feel sheltered, and high enough to let the breath settle easily. Behind you, the door closes with a soft wooden sound. Outside remains outside. Inside is dry and prepared. The first room holds you quietly at the edge of warmth, with slippers, a bench, a mat, and the smell of cedar waiting in the lamplight. Past the entry bench, open shelves line one wall. They are filled with folded towels in soft, even piles. Cream, mist grey, and a few in the muted green of pine needles seen through snow. None of them are bright. Their colors belong to the bathhouse: cedar, steam, stone, snow, and the warm center of a covered lamp. The towels are not arranged perfectly. That is part of their comfort. One corner leans a little. One fold is thicker than the others. A small cotton thread rests along the edge of the middle shelf, catching the light. Everything looks clean, useful, and cared for in an ordinary way. Beside the towels are wooden baskets with rolled cloths inside. A small brush rests in one basket, its bristles turned inward. A narrow scoop sits on the shelf below, carved from pale wood. It carries no lesson. It simply belongs in a warm wooden place. You may reach for a towel if you want one, or you may only look. The story does not require any exact step. The bathhouse is generous enough to let each small choice be optional. You can stand in the quiet room and let the simple order of the shelves do the soft work that order sometimes does. Fold over fold, stack beside stack, cream, grey, pine green, cloth, wood, lamp, shadow. The mind may follow those small repetitions without effort. Outside the nearest window, snow slips from a branch with a muffled hush, far enough away and gentle enough to become part of the silence. The towels stay folded. The shelves stay warm. The room waits. The next room is quieter again. It is a simple, private room. Wooden benches along the walls, low lamps behind clouded glass, and hooks set far apart so everything has space. There are no mirrors demanding attention, No bright tiles, no cold shine. Only cedar, cotton, soft shadow, and the faint sound of water somewhere deeper inside. A screen stands in one corner, made of pale wood and woven panels. Its surface catches the lamplight in a way that feels almost like fabric. On the bench beside it rests another folded towel, a pair of slippers, and a small lidded cup that gives off the mildest thread of steam. The cup may hold warm water or tea. It does not matter. It is simply something kind placed near a resting place. You do not need to change anything in the story. You do not need to enter the water unless the idea feels easy. The bathhouse offers rooms, benches, windows, warmth, and time. Sitting nearby is enough. Resting near the steam is enough. Listening to the hush of water beyond the wall is enough. The floor is warm under the slippers. The boards run lengthwise toward the inner doorway, guiding the eye without urging the feet. A small square window shows a patch of snow outside, blue and still. You can imagine setting down what belongs to the day, a thought, a list, a little piece of hurry. They can remain on the bench for now, folded beside the towel, no heavier than cloth. The inner doorway glows softly. Warm water waits beyond it, quiet and still. The first pool waits indoors, under a ceiling of dark beams. It is not large. Its edges are made of smooth stone, round where hands might rest, and its water is so still that the lanterns above it appear twice, once in the air and once in the quiet surface below. Steam rises in thin layers, drifting upward, touching the beams and disappearing before it gathers into anything thick. A bench runs beside the pool. You may sit there first. The stone under the bench has gathered warmth from the room. A towel rests nearby, folded over a rail. Beyond the pool, a window looks into the pines, but the glass is fogged, turning every branch into a soft green shadow. The water simply waits, warm and calm. If you choose, you can imagine placing a hand near the surface and feeling the heat rise without needing to move further. If you choose, you can imagine sitting with your feet near the edge, or simply staying on the bench, letting the pool be a quiet center for the room. There is no way to prove rest here, no correct shape it has to take. The bathhouse is patient. The steam lifts. The lanterns remain enclosed and steady. A single drop slides down the fogged window and stops halfway, held by the glass. Outside, snow rests on the sill. Inside, the air is warm enough that every breath feels unhurried. You sit near the first pool for a while. Stone, water, cedar, steam, lantern, window, snow, pine. The words can become slow objects, placed one by one around the room. Steam moves more slowly than anything else in the room. It leaves the water without effort, gathers itself into pale ribbons, and rises toward the rafters as if it has all the time the night can give. Near the lanterns it turns golden. Near the ceiling it turns blue-gray. Near the windows it thins until the pines outside show. Through it, softened, but still present. You can watch one small strand of steam for a while. It curls above the pool. It loosens. It becomes almost nothing. Another strand follows, never exactly the same, never sharp enough to wake the mind. The repetition is enough. The bathhouse keeps offering the same gentle motion until the mind no longer needs to make a story from it. On the far wall, cedar shelves hold small clay cups, folded cloths, and a shallow bowl of smooth stones. The stones are grey, cream, and one soft green. Their surfaces are dry and matte, not precious, only pleasant to see in a place of warmth. The beams overhead are old in a quiet way. No dust falls, no sound. No sound breaks the quiet. The wood simply crosses the ceiling from wall to wall, giving the room a shape strong enough to forget about. Water rests below. Wood rests above. Steam moves between them. If a thought comes, it can behave like steam too. It can rise, change shape, thin at the edges, and disappear near the rafters without needing to be followed. The pool does not change. The lanterns do not change. The snow outside does not hurry. Everything holds its calm place, while the steam continues its slow, wordless climbing. One window in the pool room is larger than the rest. It reaches almost from the bench to the beam above, and the glass is clouded with warmth. Beyond it, pine branches lean close to the bathhouse, carrying snow in soft white lines. Because of the fog on the glass, the branches become shadows rather than details, long green shapes crossing amber light. Now and then, a little snow loosens from a branch. It falls without drama. If there is a sound, it is only a padded hush outside the wall. The branch rises a small amount, free of its weight, and then becomes still again. The window holds the moment gently, without turning weather, in now empty anything that needs managing. Inside, a wooden ledge runs below the glass. On the ledge sits a small ceramic bowl, empty except for a folded cloth. Beside it is a round stone, dark from warmth. A covered lantern rests near the corner, low enough that its light shines through the steam and turns the fogged glass the color of honey. You may sit near this window and let the outside world remain outside. Snow can fall, pines can bend, night can deepen between the trunks. None of it needs your attention in a worried way. The bathhouse has walls, a roof, dry towels, warm benches, and windows that turn the forest into a soft, painted, spattly screened. The branch shadows move only a little. Steam passes in front of them. The lantern keeps its round glow. For a while, the whole world can be reduced to the window. Blue snow beyond, amber warmth within, and pine shapes resting between them. A smaller room opens from the side of the pool hall. It holds a row of wooden basins on a low counter, each one round, pale, and smooth from long use. Above them, small lamps are set into the wall. Below them, folded cloths wait in a basket. The room is simple, useful, and quiet enough that the smallest sound becomes soft. A cup set down, a towel moved, a drop of water, returning to wood. There is no instruction posted anywhere, no list of steps, no rule to remember. The basin room is only another gentle place in the bathhouse, another pause between warmer rooms. A wooden ladle rests beside one basin. Its handle points toward the edge of the counter, as though someone has placed it there with sleepy care. A small pitcher stands nearby, full of warm water that gives off a faint curl of steam. You may rinse your hands if that image is restful, or you may simply notice the materials. Wood darkened by warmth, cloth folded in a basket, a lamp behind clouded glass, a tiny reflection on the curve of the ladle, the muted scent of cedar and clean water. Through the doorway, the first pool remains visible, lanterns reflected on its surface. Through a second doorway, a corridor waits, lit by lower lamps. The bathhouse is not a maze. Every room opens kindly into the next. Every threshold is wide enough, warm enough, and clear. The basins stay still. The basket stays full. The pitcher cools slowly. You let the basin room be what it is. A small ordinary pause, held between steam and hallway, with nothing to solve and nothing to finish. The corridor beyond the basin room is made of warm stone. Its floor is smooth, not glossy, and the stones are set in long, quiet rectangles that lead forward through low light. The walls are cedar below and plaster above, with small windows near the ceiling, where the snow outside appears as soft blue squares. Every few steps, a covered lantern sits in a wall niche. The corridor is wide. The air is clear enough to see the path from one end to the other. Steam drifts here only as a thin veil from rooms behind and rooms ahead, never hiding the way. The bathhouse remains easy. It never turns rest into a puzzle. As you walk, the sounds gently change. The first pool becomes a deeper hush behind you. Ahead, another water sound appears, wider and softer, with a little open air inside it. Somewhere beyond the corridor, the roof must open to the sky, because the air has a cooler edge, light, a cooler edge, like snow remembered through warmth. On one side of the corridor, narrow shelf holds small objects that seem to belong exactly where they are. A folded towel, a clay cup, a covered lantern, not yet lit, a smooth piece of pine bark, and a shallow dish of pale stones. Nothing asks to be taken. It is enough that these things are here in order. Under lamplight, the floor keeps its warmth. The lamps repeat: stone, cedar, window, lantern, stone, window, lantern. The pattern carries you forward at the pace of a sleepy walk. At the end of the corridor, a wider blue glow waits, and with it, the quiet garden pool under the snow. The garden pool is open to the night and still sheltered. A square of roof has been left open above the water, framed by dark beams and snuff along the edges. Beyond the opening, the sky is a deep winter blue. Pine branches lean over the roofline, and now and then a few flakes drift down slowly enough to seem almost paused in the air. The pool itself is warm. Steam rises from it in gentle layers, meeting the cooler air and turning silver before it fades. Around the pool, the floor is dry stone, warmed from beneath and clear of snow. Along the walls, are cedar benches with towels folded at their ends. Small lanterns sit low near the floor, each enclosed, each steady. You do not need to step into the water. The garden can be enjoyed from the bench. The warmth reaches you there. The steam passes slowly. The open roof gives the room a calm sense of the sky, without letting the winter inside all at once. A single snowflake lands near the pool edge and disappears softly on the warm stone. Another lands on the cedar rail and remains tiny and bright. The contrast is gentle, cool above, warm below, blue air, amber lamps, snow on beams, steam from water, pines outside, cedar within. You sit with this balance for a long while. Nothing has to happen beside the garden pool. The water can stay still. The roof can hold its snowy frame. The branches can lean without breaking. The sky can remain blue and spacious, while the bathhouse keeps its warmth gathered around the open square of night. Here, the bathhouse has found a gentle middle between winter and warmth. The snow rests above you on the roof beams, not heavy enough to trouble the story, just enough to brighten the dark wood. Warm water rests below, quiet inside its stone edges. Between them, steam travels upward and snowflakes travel downward, each moving slowly. Through the same soft air, you may notice how carefully the room balances itself. Nothing rushes to become anything else. The snow become from anyone. The snow does not become a storm. The water not become a wave. The steam does not become a cloud that hides the room. Each thing keeps its place and shares a little softness with the others. The snow cools the color of the night. The lamps warm the cedar walls. The water gives the air its quiet breath. The open roof lets the pines lean close without entering. Along one wall, a row of small stones has been set in the mortar. They are round and pale, like pebbles from an old river. Lamplight touches each one, making a slow dotted line around the room. You can follow the stones with your eyes if you want an easy place to rest attention. One stone, then the next, then the next. No counting is needed. The line continues without asking to be finished. Steam passes in front of the stones. A flake falls through the open roof and vanishes before it reaches the water. The pines outside hold their snow. You remain in the warmth of the garden pool room, under the open square of blue night, with winter and shelter arranged kindly around you. Beside the garden pool is a cedar rest nook. It is tucked just under the roofline, away from the open square of sky. The nook has two low benches, a small table between them, and a lamp with amber glass set inside a wooden frame. Thick towels are folded on the lower shelf of the table. A blanket lies across one bench, its color somewhere between gray and pine green. You may sit here after the garden pool, or before it, or instead of it. The order does not matter. The bathhouse is not keeping track. It offers warmth in many forms: water warmth, lamp warmth, towel warmth, blanket warmth. The dry warmth of cedar walls holding the night at a distance. On the table is a ceramic cup turned upside down on a small cloth. Beside it rests a covered pot, gently warm to the touch in imagination, not steaming strongly, only keeping its heat in a quiet way. There is no flavor to identify. It can simply be mild tea, warm water, or the idea of a cup placed nearby for comfort. The Nook looks out through a side window. Outside, snow has gathered in the fork of a pine tree. The branch is so close that the needles make a dark pattern against the glass. Condensation softens the edges, turning the branch into a painted shape. You sit in the Nook and let the room narrow pleasantly. Bench, table, lamp, towel, blanket, cup, windowed, bench. The list is simple enough to fade into feeling. You are still in the bathhouse, still under the pines, still held by cedar warmth and snow quiet. From the rest nook, another hallway follows the outside wall. This one is lined with tall panes of fogged glass. The panes do not show the forest clearly. They show suggestions: a dark trunk, a pale branch, a blur of snow, the warm reflection of your own lamp passing slowly along the surface. The glass keeps the night close and safely softened. The floor is cedar again. A runner of woven grey cloth lies down the center, absorbing each step. Along the inner wall, shallow shelves hold simple things: folded hand cloths, extra cups, a small stack of square cushions, a wooden tray with 3 smooth stones. Every object has the restful look of being where it belongs. Steam from the pool rooms follows you only a little. It gathers briefly near the glass, then disappears. The hallway air is warm but clearer, as if the bathhouse is easing you from water toward rest. The sounds are lower here too. Water behind you becomes memory. Snow outside becomes a blue hush. The lamps make small amber pools on the runner. You pass one pane where the fog has cleared in a little circle. Through it, you see the path outside curving between pines. The lanterns along it are dimmer from here, their light softened by snow. It is pleasant to know the path remains, and also pleasant not to need it. You keep walking, glass, lamp, shelf, runner, glass, lamp, shelf, runner. The hallway keeps no surprise at the end. Only another room of warmth, quieter than the last, with a kettle resting beside a window and a place to sit. The tea alcove is no larger than a small sitting room. It has a round table, 2 cushioned seats, and a window that looks out at the lowest branches of the pines. The glass is fogged around the edges and clear in the center, where the snow beyond appears soft and blue. A kettle rests on a safe warmer, giving off a faint, steady warmth. Nothing in the alcove is meant to wake you. The cups The cups are plain. The cloth on the table is unpatterned. The light is low. A small shelf holds a few jars, but their labels are turned away or too dim to read. The bathhouse does not become a lesson in herbs, water, or old customs. It remains a place where a warm cup can wait without explanation. You may sit in the seat nearest the window. The cushion accepts your weight in the imagination. The table is smooth beneath the hand. The cup is warm but not hot. The tea is mild enough to be almost only warmth, with a little leaf sweetness and a little quiet steam rising into the lamplight. Outside, a branch draws a slow line across the glass. Snow rests on it in little pillows. Beyond it, the forest is dark and still, not empty in a lonely way, only sleeping, as forests do when winter has softened every path and sound. You take your time in the alcove. The tea cools slowly. The window clouds and clears by tiny degrees. The kettle keeps its low patience. After the warmth of the pools, this smaller warmth feels like a bridge towards sleep. Cup, cushion, window, pine, and a quiet table, holding its round shape in the center of the room. The cup in your hands cools at a kind pace. At first, it is warm through the ceramic, spreading into the palms in a simple way. Then, the warmth becomes gentler, moving from attention into background. The steam grows thinner. The steam grows thinner. The surface of the tea reflects one small lantern above the table, turning it into a soft oval that trembles only when the cup moves. You do not have to drink much. You do not have to finish it. A sleep story may leave cups half full. It can leave lamps burning low. It can leave snow falling outside a window with no need to report when it stops. The alcove is a good place for unfinished things because nothing here feels abandoned, only paused. A folded cloth rests under the cup. Its weave is visible where the lamplight touches it. Beside the cloth is a small wooden spoon, unused. A smooth pebble sits near the table edge, pale grey with one darker line through it. The pebble has no purpose beyond being restful to see. You notice the cup, the cloth, the spoon, the pebble, the lantern reflected in the tea, the window reflected in the lantern glass. Each reflection is softer than the thing itself, and that softness suits the hour. Outside the window, the snow has become smaller, falling in finer flakes, like tiny pieces of quiet returning to the ground. The cup cools, the hands rest. The alcove stays warm, and the bathhouse continues around you, patient in every wall. When the cup has cooled enough to set down, the passage beyond the tea alcove waits open. This passage is narrower and softer than the glass hall. Its walls are lined with linen curtains, drawn across shelves and doorways, turning the corridor into a quiet row of fabric panels. The curtains are cream, grey, and muted green. They move only when warm air passes them, and even then, the motion is small. Behind one curtain, shelves hold more towels. Behind another, folded blankets. Behind a third, simple cushions for the resting room. You can tell by the shapes, but you do not need to pull anything aside. The passage has the comfortable feeling of a cupboard large enough to walk through, with the useful things of the bathhouse resting behind cloth. The floor is covered by a thick runner. Lamps hang low and far apart. Their light catches the weave of the curtains, showing tiny threads crossing over and under one another. It is the kind of pattern the mind can follow until it forgets. It was following anything, over and under, thread beside thread, fold beside fold. The passage smells faintly of cedar, clean cotton, and the last warmth of tea. Water sounds are far behind now. Snow sounds are outside, beyond walls and glass. Ahead is the resting room, where the bathhouse begins to feel less like moving through rooms and more like staying still. Water. You walk slowly down the linen-warm passage. No door closes behind you. No choice waits sharply ahead. Only a darker room, a lower lamp, and blankets arranged for deep quiet. The resting room is the quietest room yet. It is long and low, with windows along one side and cushioned platforms along the other. Each platform has a folded blanket, a small pillow, and a lamp set safely into the wall above it. The lamps are turned down until the room seems to glow from within the wood rather than from any single flame. The windows look out toward the pines. Snow has gathered on the outer sill. The glass clears enough to show branches and fogged enough to soften them. A little steam still clings to the room, but it is only a memory of the pools now, a warmth left behind in the air. You may choose the platform nearest the far window. It is not important which one. Every place in the resting room has been prepared with the same quiet care. The blanket is heavy, but not too warm. The pillow is plain. The cushion gives softly. A small shelf beside the platform holds a cup of water, a folded cloth, and a smooth stone similar to the one in the tea alcove. There is no story task left here, no discovery to make, no secret door, no hidden visitor, no final explanation. The bathhouse has brought you from snow to cedar, from cedar to water, from water to tea, and from tea to this low room where warmth can finally settle without moving anywhere. You sit down, or lie down, or simply imagine resting near the window while the blanket waits. The pines outside keep their snow. The lamps keep their low glow. The resting room keeps its promise by asking for nothing. The blanket on the platform has a quiet weight. It is woven in muted green and grey, with a narrow cream edge that has softened from use. When it settles over the cushion, it does not make a sharp line. It rounds itself slightly, taking the shape of rest before anyone asks it to. Beside the blanket, the pillow waits under the window. Its cover is plain cotton, pale as snow seen through lamplight. There is no pattern for the eyes to work over, no bright color, no message. Only a simple surface made for the side of the head, the shoulder of a thought, the small heaviness that comes before sleep. The window above the pillow is cool at the edges and warm in the center where the room's air has softened the glass. Outside, one pine branch crosses the view. Snow rests on the branch in a long white line, and beyond it, other branches make darker lines in the blue night. You can let the blanket become the main image now. Not the whole bathhouse, not every room, only this blanket, this pillow, this window, this lamp. The route behind you can fade without being lost. The lantern path remains under snow. The porch remains dry. The towel shelves remain folded. The first pool keeps its quiet reflections. The garden pool keeps its open square of sky. The tea alcove keeps its cup. All of them can rest where they are. You do not have to hold them in order. The blanket is enough order now. A soft weight, a muted color, a warm edge, a quiet place beside the window while snow continues outside. The bathhouse begins to settle around you. Not by going silent all at once, but by letting every sound move farther away. The water in the first pool becomes a low memory. The garden pool becomes a warmer breath somewhere beyond the halls. The tea alcove becomes a round table, a cooling cup, and a window clouded at the edges. The entry room becomes slippers, hooks, and a mat by the door. Each room remains peaceful after you leave it. That is one of the kind things about this place. You do not need to keep visiting the rooms in your mind to make them stay calm. They can do that on their own. The towels will remain folded. The lanterns will remain covered. The benches will remain dry. The snow will remain outside, softening the roof and the path. From the resting platform, the bathhouse feels larger and simpler at the same time. A warm building under snow, a line of lamps in cedar halls, a pool holding lantern reflections, a cup cooling on a cloth, a blanket beside a window. If thoughts come, they can pass through the same order, not as tasks, only as shapes: door, shelf, pool, steam, window, tea, blanket. Snow, the words can lose their edges. Door becomes warmth, shelf becomes softness, pool becomes hush, steam becomes breath, window becomes blue, tea becomes amber, blanket becomes weight, snow becomes quiet. The bathhouse holds all of it without effort, while you rest in the low room beneath the pines. Only a few lamps matter now. One outside on the pine path, keeping a small amber circle in the snowfall. One on the porch, under the low roof, where the bench and folded towel wait. One near the first pool, reflected in water that does not ripple. One in the tea alcove, shining softly through the cooling cup. And one in the resting room, beside the window where the blanket lies. These lamps. These do not try to brighten the whole night. They only give the dark its gentle edges. Between them, the bathhouse can be dim. Between them, the halls can blur. Between them, the mind can stop needing to see every detail. You may know where each lamp is without opening your eyes. Path, porch, pool, tea, resting room. The order can repeat once, then soften. Path, porch, pool, tea, resting room. Snow, towel, water, cup, blanket, pine, cedar, steam, window, pillow. The words can slow down. They can become less like words and more like warm places spaced gently through a winter building. If one fades, another remains. If all of them fade, the feeling of them can stay. Amber in blue, warmth under snow, quiet behind glass. Outside, the pines do not count the lamps. The snow does not count the flakes. The bathhouse does not count the minutes. Nothing asks you to count either. The lamps keep glowing in their small, patient places, and the resting room keeps its low, steady warmth. The snow beyond the glass is very quiet now. Perhaps it is still falling. Perhaps it has paused. From the resting room, there is no need to know exactly. The window holds a soft blue field with pine shapes resting inside it, and that is enough. The branch nearest the glass has not moved for a long while. The blanket keeps its weight. The pillow keeps its coolness. The lamp keeps its small amber circle on the wall. A faint line of warmth remains in the floorboards from all the rooms behind you. It is not something to study. It is only the sense that the bathhouse is warm from within. Warmed by water, by cedar, by lamps, by towels folded before you came, by a kettle left placed, say, near a window, by blankets placed where sleep might find them. You do not have to return through the halls. The halls can remember themselves. The stone corridor can hold its lantern niches. The basin room can hold its round wooden bowls. The first pool can hold the beams above it. The garden pool can hold its open square of sky. The tea alcove can hold the cup that cooled slowly. You can remain here, near the window, under the blanket, inside the bathhouse, under the pines. The story can become smaller now, as bedtime stories sometimes do when they have carried you far enough. It can stop walking and simply breathe in place. Warm room, blue window, low lamp, soft snow, folded towel, still water, cedar wall, the quiet pines. Each image arrives gently, and each image may leave without needing to be followed. If the bathhouse returns in dreams, it may return without a clear beginning. There may be only the window first, blue with snow, or only the towel shelf, cream and grey and pine green, or only the warm stone corridor with lanterns in niches and small high windows showing winter. Dream places do not need to be entered correctly. They can open from the middle, already quiet. Perhaps you are once again near the first pool. Perhaps you are already in the tea alcove. Perhaps you are still here in the resting room, which may be the simplest answer. The blanket lies over the cushion. The lamp glows low. The snow outside keeps the pines still. The bathhouse holds its warmth in every wall. Nothing is unfinished in a troubling way. The cup may be half full. The path may be half full. The path may be half covered. The steam may be half visible near the rafters. The story may be half remembered. All of that is allowed. Sleep does not need a tidy ending. It only needs somewhere kind to set the last image down. Set it here on the folded blanket, beside the small pillow, under the low amber lamp, near the window where snow has softened the pines into blue shapes. The bathhouse will keep the rest. It will keep the porch swept under the roof. It will keep the towels folded on cedar shelves. It will keep the pools warm and still. It will keep the tea alcove quiet. It will keep the tea alcove quiet. It will keep this resting room ready long after the words have thinned like steam. Somewhere beyond the pines, the night may be drifting toward dawn. Not quickly, not with any bright edge, only with the faintest blue softening behind the trees, so distant that it feels more like the thought of morning than morning itself. The bathhouse does not need to wake for it. The lamps remain low. The resting room remains warm. The blanket remains the nearest, simplest thing. You can let morning stay outside the story. It does not bring a schedule here. It does not bring voices, footsteps, or tasks. It is only another shade of blue behind the snowy branches. Another quiet color for the window to hold while the room keeps its amber center. The cup on the shelf is still. The folded cloth beside it has not moved. The smooth stone keeps the small amount of lamplight it was given. Farther back in the bathhouse, the pools are still warm. The first pool holds its dark beams. The garden pool holds its square of open sky. The basin room holds its wooden ladles. The towel shelves hold their cream and grey stacks. Everything continues without needing your attention. That is the comfort of this place at the edge of dawn. It can keep its own gentle order while you let go of yours. Snow can remain on the roof. Steam can remain in the rafters. Pine shadows can remain on the glass. You may rest. You may rest through all of it. Through the blue before morning. Through the lamps left low. Through the quiet that has no final sentence yet. Only warmth continuing under snow, with no bell and no hurry anywhere in the halls. The quiet bathhouse under the pines remains where it is. Its roof holds the snow gently. Its windows glow low through the branches. Its porch stays dry beneath the eaves, with the folded towel still resting on the bench. The lantern path curves away into the trees, but you do not need to follow it now. You are inside, where the warmth has become simple. Not a journey anymore. Not a sequence of rooms. Only shelter. Only the feeling of cedar walls, low lamps, folded cloth, and water resting in stone basins. Only the blue window and the amber lamp. Only the blanket, the pillow, the slow quiet beyond the glass. If snow continues, it continues softly. If steam rises, it rises without asking to be watched. If a lamp burns lower in another room, the room grows no less safe. The bathhouse knows how to be dim. It knows how to let night gather at the edges. Thus how to let night gather at the edges while keeping enough warmth in the center. You can let the final picture stay very still. A low resting room, a snowy window, a folded blanket, a small lamp, pines beyond the glass. Warm water somewhere behind you, quiet under beams. No need to go back to it. No need to leave it. The bathhouse keeps all its rooms together in the winter night, and you may drift wherever sleep begins. Beside the window, under the blanket, inside the warm cedar hush. While snow rests on the pines, and the amber windows keep glowing softly.